We're here at Shadowglen, and I was thinking, it was very last minute, but your team was super responsive.
Yes.
And I was like, we'd love to talk to somebody about, what this tournament benefits and the scholarship program that the Texas Restaurant Foundation has.
Brian, as we get going here, let's go ahead and provide an official introduction for the radio audience.
Okay, so we are sitting with Emily Williams-Knight, who is the CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association. She's also she's a board member of the National Restaurant Association. She's been with the Texas Restaurant Association for almost 7 years.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Yeah, and we first met, obviously, in our fun COVID era.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Talking a lot about what restaurants needed in Texas. And, the Texas Restaurant Association was incredibly helpful to basically have a voice in the room, both at the state level and the national level, about what small businesses were facing, but what their employees were facing. And so that's where Emily and I first met, but she's still there, still working hard, still trying to keep restaurants going. And so, as I was telling you, Emily, Austin Supper Club that we host here is really just an excuse for us to go to great restaurants and bars and coffee shops and talk sports. We usually try to tie it to, especially during the football season, tie it to any owners that have, roots or ties to the big games. Your tie, speaking of SEC schools, sounds like you're an A&M fan.
Well,
correct?
house divided.
A house divided.
I've got
okay.
sophomore twin girls. I have an Aggie. So yes, that was a great game against Notre Dame, and I have a Roll Tide.
Okay.
Who actually is an SEC rower. So loves it. They both love their schools, but I can tell you that our weekends are nothing but football.
That's good.
You live in Texas. That's not a shock, right?
Exactly. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, so talk to me a little bit about what we're out here playing golf today for. The Swing for Scholarships tournament. I guess Eco Lab is kind of the main sponsor.
Yeah, with Mission Restaurant Supply.
And Mission Restaurant Supply, two vendors that I see a lot of invoices from.
God, I love Mission. Even as a non-restaurant owner, Mission is just the greatest place to go to stock up the kitchen.
It's like Disneyland, yeah.
Really.
Yeah, and I'll throw Restaurant Depot out there as well. When I was managing restaurants, there is a quiet calm to like a Saturday morning stroll through a restaurant supply store.
Agree.
And kind of, like you got College Game Day on. Yeah. You're kind of paying attention, but you're also like, okay, what do we need? We need Lexans. We need. Do we need a new Roku?
Of course, you always need a new Roku.
Yeah, somebody's always breaking the equipment.
That's exactly
Friday night.
That's what I was thinking. Friday night. Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the Texas Restaurant Foundation and the scholarship program that we're raising money for today.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. So you have the TRA and the TRF, we call it. And the foundation really is the workforce arm of the association. And every year, last year alone, we gave over $1.2 million in scholarships to students that have an interest in restaurant management, food service. And today's event sold out again, which tells you people's passion for the industry, 140 golfers. And all the money raised will go back to sort of two things in Austin, right? The scholarships for students, but also advocacy. What you talked about earlier, right, is how do we keep advocating for these restaurants? There is no shortage of challenges right now. We could go through all of them. And so that advocacy fund also receives some support that allows us to make sure we can keep Austin that vibrant food scene, especially as we're coming out of sort of tariffs, immigration, pick your poison. So yeah, amazing. I live in Dallas. I work in Austin. I came down, showed up today, and it's just like, wow, right? Look at the love and the support, because people love restaurants, and they want to see their community restaurants stay.
No doubt. And, what I remember, when I was managing and, have a degree, was fortunate enough to, get a degree in accounting, but, really fell in love with the industry and always was thinking, it's like, this needs more support to be a career, whether that be higher paying wages, health insurance, continuing education,
absolutely,
growth. I mean, and kind of my theory, flash forwarding ahead with AI and all these other things happening, and just everybody living on their phones, unfortunately, this industry is still about people, and it's still about service, and it's still about connection. And, some restaurants, the good ones, have a really good training system that bring people up through the ranks. But you just think about how many folks are, kind of wanting to get that extra skill, or wanting to find, wanting to grow within the industry and saying, okay, so where do I start, right? And it's like if you're working for a restaurant and maybe they don't have some of those things, it's like seeking out your own education, seeking out your own growth. It's important to have foundations and associations that are doing that work.
Well, and you think about it, it's what other industry can you start in high school, you could return midlife, or you can end your career with us, or you can do it the entire way, right? I think that what I like to say is that we don't care who you are, what your story is, there's a place for you. I mean, we're the largest private sector employer in the state of Texas. We have 1.4 million employees. Think about that.
Yeah.
And they're at all stages of their life. They have incredible backgrounds. The foundation does work at the high school level with the Pro Start program. But now we have one of the largest second chances programs, and I was able to go to one of our, facilities and watch men that have been incarcerated for 20 plus years learning culinary arts, so they have a second chance on the outside.
Wow.
And delivering that commencement speech was just, I can't tell you the emotions I felt. And one of the gentlemen and I have become sort of pen pals, and his dream is to open a food truck. And so I like to say you invest in the industry that's one of the last in America that gives hope.
Right.
And we meet you where you are. And I think, you mentioned AI. I was on a panel last week with 7, I would call AI experts, and you're looking, I'm not an AI expert, but I know that we should use AI to sort of take some of those redundant, not fun tasks, inventory, purchasing, planning, scheduling, right? Let AI do that, and then allow these employees that have a service heart come and give an experience, be hospitable, right? That's what our industry does. And so I think it's going to be a great addition.
I'm
in an optimistic camp, but you're right, it'll change.
I'm not necessarily pessimistic about how it helps the industry. What I'm saying is that, as you see more non-industry jobs incorporated,
yes,
and the ability to work remotely. And what I'm saying is that I just feel like the industry itself isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Not
if
at
anything,
all.
It's going to be growing. It's going to be more leaned upon for community and connection. And yes, it is physical labor at its core, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, getting up, getting to work on time,
dealing with people,
it's like stay. To me, it's much like sports.
Yes.
Where being a part of a team keeps you tied to your community, keeps you tied to your neighbors.
Yeah, and I think right now, we had our board meeting a couple days ago, and we put round tables out for lunch. This is going to sound really small to you, but we're in this very divided world. I think sports brings us back together, and I really try to instill a theme of kindness, right? It's up to each of us on how we react each day. But I looked out, and I had members, 130 from all across the state, sitting with each other, breaking bread over a table, and it just sort of reminded me of the importance that we're playing right now, that if we can put our phones away, I'd love restaurants to start a campaign where you check your phone at the door and get a ticket, right, and you actually get back to human contact.
Yeah,
we actually can help bring this country back together. And
the modern day coat check is now the phone check.
Imagine, right? Your kids,
Yeah.
How many kids are on iPads, and parents are even not talking to each other, and I just think there's something that we can optimistically, socially rise above this and sort of play a role.
Well, humans as a species have thrived because of our ability to innovate and problem solve, and a lot of that is a result of us getting together oftentimes around a dinner table or for a meal and sharing ideas, even if we're not always in total agreement. We need that more than ever right now,
without agree more.
Question, as there are maybe more distractions than ever before too.
Absolutely, and it's upon us, right?
Yeah, and this is tangential to the restaurant world, but one of the things that I saw this week, which just kind of warmed my heart, and the most dynamic quarterback of a generation going to Dell Children's Hospital and helping pack bags for cancer patients, and the perspective that gives the athlete that yes, maybe I'm struggling on the field, but
It's bigger
Not
than
anymore.
that.
Problem
Oh,
solved.
that's right. That's
I don't
right.
know. I don't know.
No. He's all better. He's all better.
I'm speaking with a Sooner and an Aggie here. I
was
realize
just
that
gonna
we can
I hope
be
he
okay
feels
with
really
our
terrible right
differences, but I'm feeling attacked right
No,
now.
it was something that, again, it's just a moment where it's like, I think you see those things and you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. It's like, no, that's a big deal. Like,
No, it's
everybody has a choice how they spend their time. He took the time to go there and
and to
connect
gain
with those-
perspective,
Yes.
right? And frankly, I think I had a chance last week to interview one of the founders of World Central Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob Wilder, incredible human, and having him talk about feeding 300,000 people a day in war-torn parts of our world. I watched a board that's pretty tough. These are all major business owners, right? A lot of emotion in the room, and all of them thinking about how do I do that? How do I take
Right.
my love of food and connect the world? But like that's humbling. I mean,
Yeah.
you're feeding people, watching kids starve in parts of our. It took me just a big step back to say I need to do more.
Yeah.
The documentary on that foundation from a few years ago was incredible. It premiered at South by Southwest. Have you ever had a chance to sit down with Jose Andres?
I have not.
Okay.
So Rob and Jose are partners.
Yeah.
And so he talked a lot about Jose.
Yeah.
And Jose recently, I think this is talk about big, audacious goals like Texas maybe winning the national championship. He said Jose was in a New York Times article and said, you know what, we're going to feed 1 million people a day. And of course it comes out to his team and they're like, what? But that kind of thinking is what we need right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to dream, you have to aim high. You may not always achieve that specific goal, but aiming high allows you to reach greater heights than you might have otherwise.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to teach these kids, right?
Yep.
If you're in high school and you make the best, your mom's paella, maybe, right? I mean, the
Right.
diversity in these programs is what's so special. These kids come from all over. We have 34,000 students in Texas, high schools learning restaurant management and culinary arts. Think about that. If they don't see that that is a valued skill, or we don't give them a place to sort of, keep their craft, it's just, we have to make an investment for our food scene.
Yeah, and even if they don't go into the industry, and I bring this up because my son last night, we were driving home from school, and he was like, Dad, when I leave the house, he was like, I might be calling you a lot because there's a lot that I don't know how to do. And I was like,
How old is he?
he's 11.
Okay.
I was like, Jack, remember when you started kindergarten 7 years ago? I was like, you know a lot more now than you did then. I was like, you got 7 more years. I was like, we can take a cooking class. Like you can,
yes, please
and so,
do that.
No, so what I'm saying is like, these high school kids that just get the opportunity to be in these programs walk away with skills, even if they don't go into the industry, right? It's like just being able to, make dinner for yourself and like
Not poison yourself.
right, you're right, and make choices and just having knife skills, right? I mean, that's the big thing is just not cutting your finger off.
Always a lot of injuries the first week of class.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I mean, it's these programs are awesome, and I think that it's neat. It's great that both things exist, right? The advocacy and the scholarships. And on the advocacy front, this is the first time I've seen you, I think, maybe in the flesh. I think you and I were all Zoom.
A lot of Zoom.
All Zoom all the time. But the Restaurant Association was incredibly pivotal in helping restaurants navigate through basically, okay, this is what the state's thinking about capacity restrictions. This is what they're thinking about reopening. This is what they're thinking timeline-wise. And getting the feedback from restaurants and then taking it back into the room.
Because you guys are problem solvers, I'm curious. You mentioned at the start of this conversation, 2 of the biggest challenges facing restaurants right now are tariffs and then also what's happening with immigration in this country. What are the solutions that you're working on with those 2 things?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with immigration because I think it's just something we all should be talking more about. So we're about roughly 22% of our population in our workforce are immigrants. So we've had...
I'm honestly surprised the number isn't higher than that.
22% of the 1.4 million just in restaurants. And 2 things are happening. I think one, the president ran on an agenda of closing the border. Great, check. It's clear we're hearing every day that is happening. The second thing he ran on, just as critical, was the economy. And what we are trying to point out is this incredible disruption of the entire value chain. So in simple terms, right, you plant it, you pick it, you pack it, you ship it, and you cook it. And that entire disruption, the amount of immigrants that work in that system is extensive, in some cases 70% in some of those pieces. And so we are, and I would say this because I'm very proud, we made a decision with the support of our board, my right hand in advocacy, Kelsey, that we were going to be in front of the issue. Now, that means sometimes that you don't get kind mail, you don't get great positive thoughts, but we feel that it's important enough to educate to the lawmakers the economic impact if we don't do something specifically right now on work permits. We have a number of folks here that have been here for, in some cases, decades, that are paying taxes, working in our communities, who have not committed a crime. They need a path to work, not a path to citizenship, a path to work. And the right-hand side of that is a longer term, which we hope will be more discussed post-midterms, is the Dignity Act, which is the first sort of comprehensive immigration reform. One of the key authors is a representative from Texas, and that is about actually after decades of fixing immigration. But I don't think we have enough time to wait for that. I think we have to solve, because Texas right now has more detainees than any state, even California. And post-October 1, when the big, beautiful bill dollars come in, I think we're going to see that accelerate further. And there is just not enough labor in the system when we're already short 20+ thousand jobs. And so if you've got a restaurant owner, a small business in Austin that already is facing, double-digit food cost increases, can't get enough labor to work, the consumer is the third sort of, spoke in that, and they are dragged down with inflation. Then you start to not be able to work at capacity. You can't serve enough meals. And in a business that's 3 to 5% margin, that is why you're seeing them close. So immigration is a very, very important topic for us. And we are at the local level, even though it's a federal issue. I had Congressman Chip Roy down, who's been very vocal at my board meeting, had him stand in front of our board members, talk openly, honestly. And I was proud of everyone, because you have to be able to sit in a room and disagree. And not allow it to get to a point where you retreat and no work gets done. And so we're trying to demonstrate that from the TRA, that bring people together.
Well, and that's the thing about, all the cliches about Washington and going to Washington and then being affected by the culture in Washington and not coming back to your state or not coming back to your constituents and listening. I think that wherever you fall on the political spectrum, I think that it gets lost. It doesn't make news when Chip Roy goes to the Texas Restaurant Association and listens and says, well, this is what I'm seeing at 30,000 feet.
Correct.
And it's like, well, that's great. This is what's happening at 3,000 feet.
Right.
So where do we find that bridge between,
right.
Making sure that the state of Texas continues to grow, have economic health, and thrive for its citizens and owner and businesses simultaneously? We also have to be cognizant of what is happening at 30,000 feet and what's happening there. And it's just, obviously the clicks, the swipes, the likes, it's all 30,000 feet. And what I think I love about, again, when my clients were in an issue, I sent an email to you and Kelsey.
We still do that today.
And talked to the Texas Restaurant Association,
Absolutely.
even as a non-member at the time, said, hey, I'm not a member, but this is who I represent, and what are you guys hearing? And immediately it was like, okay, well, here's the next Zoom. Here's how the Texas Workforce Commission is going to be handling unemployment claims. Here's a mass layoff. Like all of that. And then I was able to use and share that information with not only my client base, but then I gained clients in the state of Texas by participating with the Restaurant Association in its, on Texas Workforce Commission claims.
Wow.
I met Stanley's Barbecue in Tyler, Texas. Still work with him today.
Yes.
And so it does come back to community, who's building that community,
Yes.
and how are they listening and then sharing that information with our reps.
So you mentioned those razor thin margins that exist in pretty much any restaurant. Obviously, food costs are a big part of that. Tariffs certainly don't help with what restaurants are paying in food costs. So
And equipment.
is, I didn't even think about that part of things.
Opening a new restaurant.
This is me being ignorant to the process. I think about the basic food cost, but the equipment is a big deal too. So what are y'all trying to do to try and help provide relief to restaurants in that regard?
Yeah, I used to say that we would focus on, and you're right, the work of the pandemic was the greatest work of my career.
Yeah.
And I still get emotional thinking about it because the loss of businesses could have been so much worse, but there was still a lot of loss, and that was hard because
it's the most traumatic thing that any of us will deal with in our lives, hopefully.
Ever, and
collectively, I should say.
I hope.
Yeah.
And I think that if I look at our reopening compared to so many states, we were so fortunate. And I think the key is what you mentioned, which was the partnership. Mm-hmm. And there was an advantage that I think is something we should all think about is I was new to that role. If you remember, I think only God knew the storm was coming, and then he put Emily Knight in that seat because it didn't make sense on how I ended up here. But I had never met the governor. I had never met a lawmaker. I had never been in our capital. And what that allowed me to do was not to be partisan. So I didn't care if you were a Republican or Democrat, you were going to help us because my job was to save this industry. And there's a lesson in that. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you now fast forward to tariffs, I think I almost feel like some days I wake up and it's a chessboard and someone just shakes the pieces and they fall down and we stack them all up again and the next day we wake up. I think there's two things. Right now for the agriculture side under USMCA, most of our Canadian and products from Canada and Mexico being number one for us, are protected from tariffs. But there's negotiations going on right now. And there's a little bit of concern that this time around under the USMCA negotiation that it may only be certain products, not all products. So imagine picking and choosing what's most valuable to a restaurant. That's a really difficult exercise. And then at the higher level on the equipment side, you have very big concern about what's happening in China. That is our number one provider of equipment. There is some concern about what may happen. I think it's October 16 or 17 where there'll be about 100,000 or 1 million. It's a massive number that every cargo ship has to pay when they come into port. We can end up having all of our stuff for the holiday season sitting off the port. And so I think we're doing a couple things. We have an incredible partnership with the National Restaurant Association. And so we work with them hand in hand. They are in Washington every single day. Those lawmakers come back to Texas. So it's critical that we work together. And we keep advising. There are products like avocados, now tomatoes with the tomato suspension agreement, coffee. We cannot produce enough in America.
Right.
And so if we tariff the heck out of it, it just goes away because restaurants can't afford to bring it in. So honestly, a huge part of our job is educating the operator. How do you save money right now? We've frankly moved into how do you save money versus how do you make more money? Because that's the one space I think we can impact. But there are so many uncontrollables that you can't forecast. I mean, the price of beef.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't grow. I say grow because people make fun of me. I'm from Connecticut originally, but it's like grow, harvest, whatever you do to raise a cow, but it's 3 years. And so you're talking about someone saying, Emily, can beef prices come down next quarter? No, it's 3 years.
Wow.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. I mean, that's, and you mentioned something a little bit there. And I think that, that is the hardest part about the restaurant business in any era is there's never certainty in any sort of in the timeline. Like the ground is always shifting, right? Things are always changing.
As soon as you feel like you have something figured out, the world is going to check you back into place.
And so,
especially right now.
And so, and there's two types of restaurants. There's large restaurants that are kind of more battleshipy, and then there are speedboats and food trucks that can kind of fly around and make a quick change to their menu and maybe not have to face the music. But anything that has a dining room, plastic gloves, paper,
linens,
chemicals,
utensils.
I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It always has been. But you're trying to plan, and so you're trying to plan a new menu. You're trying to plan a new price, and then all of a sudden, your linen costs or your chemical costs go up, and now your menu's not priced right. To make money, you're losing money. And ultimately, the big thing about any sort of inflation or any sort of macroeconomic issue is people are going to save. Just like you're trying to teach restaurants to save, households are going to save more, which means they're going to eat at home more, which means restaurants are now fighting for less dollars on these weekends. And so it's a long way of me saying, hey, it's a bye week for Texas. Go out to eat Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is the weekend. You don't tape the game. Oh, you don't even have to tape the game. There is no game. It's a great college football slate, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later.
I believe that Alabama's playing Georgia.
Yeah, there's two really good 6:30 games. Yeah, Oregon, Penn State as well.
Yeah, but
the whiteout game too, right?
Yeah. But
tape those games and go out to eat or go have an
or
early
go out
dinner.
To eat, yes.
We always go to Bouffalina Douai in the 4:30, 5 o'clock hour because you get the happy hour menu.
Put yourself in radio silence. You'll be able to skip through all the commercials. You'll be caught up to live by the second half anyways. You won't have to watch the halftime show,
Unless it's the Aggies. It's a great halftime show.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Aggies, speaking of the Aggies, I'm actually very intrigued by that game with
Auburn.
With Auburn coming to town since
they should have won last week.
Oh yeah, that's what everybody says. If anything, I saw Texas fans say that we should forfeit.
Should forfeit the game?
Yeah.
Well, look, anytime you get some help from the refs, then you should immediately forfeit the game, which means that none of us win.
I don't think we got help from the refs.
You kind of did.
We checked in with them. We checked in with the ref every step of the way.
That's the rumor going around OU boards, but the SEC came out and said that was done incorrectly. So the SEC actually came out and said you guys broke the rule there.
No, but much like the world we live in, the SEC came out and said it was wrong before they could even have checked with the refs.
You are correct.
They posted that before, and K9 or TV9 in Oklahoma City reported early in the week they went to the officials and said, "This is what we're going to do." And then the receiver sat there and checked in with the official and said, "Am I lined up properly?"
You cannot mislead. He was making it look like he was walking off the field. I'm sorry, that was against the rules.
He lined up.
Hey, look, you guys got away with it though. Congratulations, it helped you win the game because that was the difference in the game.
Guys,
it was the difference.
Guys, everybody calls us land thieves. This is just who we are. I don't know. I'm gonna own it. We're the Sooners.
You get there sooner.
We're literally named after people that didn't. Maybe they checked in with the Land Run Commission before staking and sneaking in, but
literal trailblazers. They're having to change the rules as a result of you guys finding that loophole.
All I got to say is that the thing that I liked most about it is the reason why the cornerback of Auburn didn't see him is because Deion Burke started talking noise and the Auburn guys started jawing back instead of paying attention.
Oh, that's another
That's
layer.
A new theory.
That's another layer.
Theory.
It happened, and that's the thing. It's just like lining up in Ninja or the fumble Rooski. You're telling me deception isn't part of football?
Deception is a part of football.
Cheating
and
is not.
So is bending the rules to your advantage, which you guys did. I'm not upset. I don't think Oklahoma should forfeit the game. I think that you guys did a good job of finding that loophole or finding that distraction and taking advantage of it because it was the easiest play of the game for either team. And it turned out to be the difference in the game.
And to make it a moot point, however, Auburn had the ball with 4 minutes left, and they were down.
Well, and we knew what Jackson Arnold was going to do there. The guy's a gritty performer, but what was his problem with Oklahoma last year? What is his problem with Auburn right now? He can't hit the throws that he needs to when the game matters the most.
That's
great. The way it was always going to go.
All I'm saying is, as a PTSD Sooner fan, the fact that we had a game plan that we executed successfully, the fact that we made adjustments at halftime and Cam Coleman had 0 catches in the second half, and the fact that we put Jackson Arnold on his ass to cover, I'm happy as maybe happiest I've been about Oklahoma football in a long time.
As the guy who coined the term University of Texas Stress Disorder or UTSD, I give you full permission to use the term OUSD because that does exist to a lesser degree.
With Brent Venables, it does. With Brent Venables' game management,
well,
it does.
Look, all rivalry jokes aside, I hated the news that came out a couple of days ago that is going to affect what you guys are doing on offense for at least the next 3 to 4 weeks. And that is, as you put it in our text thread with Odom, you guys just lost bye week with John Mateer suffering a thumb injury in the first quarter of that Auburn game. It wasn't on a run. It was on him throwing the football and then hitting a helmet probably. But he's going to be out now with a broken thumb, had surgery yesterday. I hate that for you guys because this is setting up.
Is he, though? This may just be more deception.
He's a gamer.
This may just us throwing some stuff at Texas that,
I am choosing to believe that he is going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Michael Hawkins is no slouch as your backup quarterback, but I hate that for you guys because that dude is what college football is all about. Players like that are what college football is all about.
I hate it for him. He's a kid from Little Elm, Texas. You think that he doesn't want to play in the Texas game?
Yeah.
I mean, you think that wasn't something that he thought about when he signed at OU?
Especially since he grew up calling it the Texas OU game.
Oh, did he?
I don't know. That's the rumor.
I doubt
that's what Oklahoma City television stations are saying.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm excited for Hawkins. Hawkins has had a year. I mentioned this to you as well, Trey. Michael Hawkins has the most OU Texas game experience out of any quarterback on either roster.
That matters in this game too. So
look, he's got an OC.
Yeah.
He has healthy receivers. He has a quarterbacks coach, and he's a year older. And he's 4 starts, and he played in 7 games last year. He better be ready. That's what we pay the coaches to do, is to prepare him for the opportunity. And I said this to a lot of Texas fans on Twitter immediately because, of course, it just rained down all sorts of takes, including one that I was kind of prepping, and that was out of the 10 SEC games Texas has played, they've somehow ended up facing 8 backup quarterbacks out of those 10 games.
That's an interesting
Some
stat.
sort of Arch Manning voodoo with him being from Louisiana.
But what I will say is that, no excuses in a couple weeks in Dallas for the Sooners.
Look, we've seen
2 great defenses, 2 offenses that we don't know which one's going to show up, but it's going to be a great game. We got to go win it. No excuses. I mean,
it'll be a great game.
Rivalry games in general, weird things happen, but this game especially. I mean, look, Case McCoy won a Texas OU game for Pete's sake. So let's not take for granted the fact that this is a rivalry game and you're going to get your opponent's best shot. And Oklahoma, even without John Mateer, are a much more formidable foe this year than they were last season. That defense is playing with its hair on fire. You're better at the skill positions, too. There's still some questions on the offensive line. Texas has questions on the offensive line.
Everybody's got questions on the offensive line.
Seemingly,
And, I mean, I don't know the health of A&M right now.
Pretty healthy.
Yeah? Okay. Because they were banged up kind of post-Notre Dame. But now they're
pretty healthy.
Okay,
it's a weird sort of role reversal this year where everybody's high on your offense, but there's some question marks on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, that was a big win in South Bend a little bit less than 2 weeks ago. Where is the A&M fan base right now with what this football team may be able to accomplish this year?
Cautiously optimistic.
That's a good term.
I think we're very excited. I mean, my one daughter doesn't really party, and yet she was in the street that night in College Station. So I think that the students are excited, the fans are excited, but it feels like there's sort of that Aggie curse that hangs over. So I don't see people going all in yet. And then, of course, Alabama, got to go for that. And my daughter gets to work out in the football facility.
Okay.
And so she, after that domination that they lost to Florida State, she sent us a photo, and it was them out on the field, and she put a little line there and said, "They keep doing the same play, don't think it'll work." And I'm like, their own student athletes were sort of mocking them after the Florida State loss.
Oh, man.
So, but they have hope. Last week was good. And
no, they've bounced back.
Yeah.
I mean, that may have been the wake-up call that
for the coach to get a little tough.
Yeah, and then again, Ryan Williams is a special player.
And he's a great kid too. They
that's good to hear.
They take an athlete class there. I think all schools, and it's like, how do you manage your money? How do you make good decisions? And my Olivia sat with him freshman year, and she's like, "Mom, he's a really good kid." And he
love to hear that.
Came to see the rowers once, and she really says a lot of good things about him.
Because he's on the younger side. Also, he was a 17-year-old freshman last year.
I think he was 18 last year. They celebrated his birthday in class, good kid from what she's experienced.
Yeah, well, I mean that's all you can go off of, and
that's right.
Clearly, I don't see him talking a bunch of noise or anything. I just see
he's
him
pretty funny too. Apparently,
I just see him making people miss all the time.
Yeah, he's got some moves for sure.
No, the A&M Auburn game is going to be interesting, just because and I'll say this, we can say this amongst Texas A&M, and we're OU and Texas are new to the SEC, right? We're still trying to figure out fan bases, and I didn't know who our Oklahoma State of the SEC was going to be. We found it.
Here we go.
Auburn is Oklahoma State. I mean, the whining. The whining.
That's such a great comparison.
Oh, my goodness. It was just, and the claiming national titles that aren't real. Like, just all of it. It's just like, come on, Auburn. It's like you got beat. You had the ball. You got beat. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
move on.
Hugh Breeze is going to keep blowing that hot air, right? How disappointed are you that it took until Oklahoma was no longer in Oklahoma State's conference for the Pokes to finally move on from Mike Gundy?
Man,
20-plus years, right?
21 years. You only have 2 losing seasons in those 21 years, the first and the most recent.
There was about to be a third also.
Yeah, there was about to be a third. My mom and brother and sister and brother-in-law are all Oklahoma State fans. My son, famously, is also an Oklahoma State fan.
How?
Hopefully this helps turn the tide for
family,
him.
Okay.
He.
Well, that's kind of a strange.
It's inexcusable. It's
I was like, that wouldn't happen in my house.
His son is a great kid. I've met him before, but holy cow.
No, but that's the thing about OSU fans is, like, are they really fans? Like, they can flip at any moment.
It's like my daughter being a Chiefs fan. It's like, we'll see how long you're a Chiefs fan when Taylor Swift is no longer up in the
that'll be over.
Suite.
Well, and then they were texting me. They were like, I think Mike Gundy and Bruce Pearl maybe host a pregame show on OAN.
Auburn's focus on Bruce for sure right now.
Guns and Pearls.
Guns and Pearls.
It'll give Gundy an excuse to get a fresh perm every week.
Yeah, well, the thing is, look, played at the university and played well. Like, they were competitive and top 10 teams with Hartley Dykes and Thurman Thomas. And, it was funny. I was talking with another buddy. I was like, well, he left it better than he found it. I was like, maybe so, maybe not, because Les Miles said, the thing about Oklahoma State is it is little brother, and it will always be little brother in the state of Oklahoma. It's a small state. Yep. And OU's tradition and record and all those things is going to keep them as the little brother. The thing that I think, Gundy was stable. He was consistent. He was stubborn.
There was always friction between him and seemingly everybody else in Stillwater, though, because he insisted on doing things his own way. It's why people say Mike Gundy will find a landing spot somewhere. Like, other than maybe doing a pregame show on OAN, to borrow your joke, Brian, I don't know what a good fit for him is, because what other school is going to allow him to have the level of control that he needs to operate like Mike Gundy wants to operate?
I mean,
it's not going to be an FBS. It's not going to be a Power 4 school, in my opinion. Or if it is, it's going to be an experiment that doesn't end well.
I don't know. I think he's a good football coach. I think that he's passionate. I think that he, kind of like Dabo, I think he made
I was going to say, that's who I want to talk about.
I think he made some poor choices around NIL, and kind of like, I think that there was a stubbornness. He's always been stubborn, and he didn't adopt the changing landscape. He wanted to keep it the same. He wanted it to be, and you can't. And I think that, after 21 years, you probably do get stuck in some routines that you need to break.
I think it was time for him to go.
But I'm saying, it's like, you put him with a good general manager at a place like Virginia Tech or Arkansas. It's like,
Arkansas would be interesting.
Again, it's like the shine may be off the turd, if you will, a little bit, but at the same time, like, the guy can coach football. You can't win.
But can you coach football in this new NIL era?
That's going to be the question. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the question. And again, I think in the right system, in the right structure, like, because when he was at his height, I think he probably turned down Tennessee a few times.
I think he turned down LSU at one point, didn't he?
Florida.
Yeah.
Look.
Or maybe that was his agent putting that out there to get him a raise in Stillwater.
Maybe. Bingo. But if Gundy wants to coach, he's going to find a place to coach, and I wouldn't bet against him. That's where I am. Like,
strong words.
I think that at a lower level he'll do really well, but in the NIL era, because he has been, maybe not to Dabo's level, but he's been reluctant to go all the way in, even though he's been talking about it openly. I think that's just going to be an issue for him, especially because anybody who's going to be providing the money that you need to compete at the highest levels in college football right now is going to want some say-so. He's not going to allow that. Yeah. And part of the problem, by the way, people are wondering who's going to take over at Oklahoma State, a G.J. Kinney or a Robert Traylor.
Zach Robinson.
I don't know where Oklahoma State's getting their NIL money from other than what they're receiving as members of the Big 12, because they don't have T. Boone Pickens anymore. So they could very quickly find themselves
They don't have T. Boone
on the outside looking in.
But they've got a lot I mean,
Do they?
they've got more than people think.
Because the recruiting has fallen off pretty significantly in the last couple of years.
Again, I think some of that was not playing the portal and not playing the NIL game.
So Gundy being hard-headed.
I think it was Gundy being hard-headed. That's probably why it happened the way that it did. But there's more money at Oklahoma State than you would think. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's a lot of petroleum engineers at Oklahoma State, just like there are at Oklahoma. There's a lot of fracking money. There's a lot of
That's fair.
there's some money there.
It takes a lot of money now.
A lot.
And it takes a lot of money. I think that they can be competitive. I think that they can find a good coach. I think that it comes back to the OU model, and you're going to see more of this. I want my coach to coach. We'll handle player acquisition development over here in an NFL-style GM evaluation piece. And that's what Virginia Tech's doing.
Stanford did that, didn't they? Bring in
Andrew Luck.
Yep.
Virginia Tech has Bruce Arians on their search committee.
I think that's the key is you've got to have someone in the player. I mean, even with that NCAA versus House ruling, right? Everything's changed. The TV rights, you got to have someone managing the NIL side.
Yeah. The days of being the CEO are kind of over.
They're over. From everything we've experienced.
There is a CEO, but you also need to have a really good CFO now.
Yeah, and a good COO.
COO as well.
And your coach.
CTO.
Right, you got to have it all.
Make sure we're implementing AI into our recruiting.
We got to have the whole C-suite has to be established.
Commercially focused.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, hearing C-suite in college football, it's not inaccurate, by the way, but it just makes me a little bit sick to my stomach. All right, we end every Austin Supper Club. Go ahead, real quick.
No. Go ahead. It's all good.
We end every Austin Supper Club, Emily, with our weekly food, beverage, restaurant recs here in Austin. So it could be something that you've had recently or a favorite place of you and your family that y'all love to go share a meal, have discussions, agreeable and otherwise. So we'll cede the floor to you to let you tell some folks about a great spot in town.
Yeah, it's hard because you can imagine we have 58,000 restaurants in Texas.
No pressure here.
And so there's so many times people are like, Emily, what's your favorite restaurant?
You picked them? You picked them?
Well, that's what happens. So I love them all. Let me be clear. I get to eat out a lot. But I think in Austin, it's about comfort for me, in particular, reflecting back. And so I'm just in it. I know people love this place, but it's Matt's El Rancho.
Yeah.
I love the team. I love the history. I like to be able to go sit outside. I like to be able to be inside. I bring my team there. I have my favorite. I always get either the fajitas, go-to chicken fajitas, but most importantly, they're margaritas. And so it's just a favorite. Yeah. And I find myself going back and going back and back.
Well, that's good. I'm gonna go with my Matt's El Rancho of the North, is what I'm calling it now. El Dorado Cafe. I'm here playing on the El Dorado Cafe team today in the tournament. They're a sponsor of today's tournament, one of them. And Joel and Joanna, longtime Austinites,
great people,
worked their way up, do a ton of donations and community support. And honestly, the OU Auburn game, my buddy Clay was like, hey man, I don't think I'm gonna have time to cook. And I was like, I got it. And I ordered, $500 worth of El Dorado. We just put it all out.
They do a great job.
They do a great catering and tailgating and all that
sure
stuff. And so, I'm gonna say El Dorado is gonna be my shout out. And they do, like I said, look at their catering menu if you are hosting parties.
I don't know if the breakfast tacos are underrated there, but I love their breakfast tacos, and I feel like as much as El Dorado gets talked about, it's more about lunch and dinner than it is
always
the breakfast.
Get, no matter what I order, whether it be the enchiladas or the shiny ribs or whatever, I always get a Matty B's, which is kind of like their take on the old school soft taco supreme from Taco Bell,
exactly,
but it's like delicious. And man, love it.
Well, you
love
talked
it so much.
You talked about good Tex-Mex down south and central. I'll give Mama Betty's a little bit of love up northwest in my neck of the woods, Avery Ranch, Cedar Park area. Really good. But my recs this week both have to do with the word all. Next week, Brian, you and I are going to be at Flo's. I took my kids for pizza at All Day on Sunday, I believe it was, because I was craving that pickle pie.
Yeah.
After seeing the picture on the cover of Austin Monthly.
Yep.
Holy freaking cow, man. This town is spoiled with good pizza places. That includes all-day pizza at Flo's Wine Bar. Can't wait to hang out at Flo's next week. It's a beautiful space. And then I also need to give love to a new place in Cedar Park called the All Good. They have taken over in the space formerly occupied by Whitestone Brewery, And it's more of a sports bar theme. They're serving up some really good smash burgers by Jabs out back. But it is a really cool venue. They've put a lot of work into rehabbing that space. And it is a beautiful space now, a great spot to go hang out with friends, maybe watch a game. They've got TVs all over the place that have been installed by my guy Nate with Benchmark AV. Great spot. If you're up in Cedar Park looking for a place to find a game, check out the All Good. I think their grand opening is this weekend, so it'll be ready for the Florida game. Looking for some place to watch Texas OU in a couple of weeks, and really any other game during this football season.
Well, I was going to say, this weekend, OU, Texas, both on buys. Let's everybody get out. Emily, we know you'll be watching your Aggies, but everybody else get out.
Georgia, Alabama.
And Georgia, Alabama. Man, gosh, that must be nice. I'm looking forward to that, having a couple kids at different schools where
and they play each other next year, so that's already started.
Great. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the new schedule. We'll have to talk about that next week. Let's just hope Dr. Shin took care of John's thumb, and everybody go out to eat this weekend.
Shin.
Emily Williams-Knight, Texas Restaurant Association, thank you so much for the time today, and thank you for all the hard work y'all are putting into making sure the restaurant industry in this state has the support that they need to continue not just surviving but also thriving too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Thank you, you too.